Chapter 16:21. Drop off Leo. Carl took Leo out of the apartment to walk him to school, and the little turtle waved hello to everyone he recognized. The clan members laughed at the oddly dressed Tortellin, who had apparently decided that he wanted to be a pirate. The look made the people on the street smile at the pure joy of a young boy living out his dreams, and the ocean merchants saw the potential of a new member for their ships in a few decades once Leo was all grown up. Tortellins were another slow-growing species, taking nearly 50 years to reach full maturity. But Leo didn't know what they were thinking. He just assumed that everyone else was as astounded by the fashionable loot that he had received as he was. What else could he make of it when they were simply standing around staring at him in awe? Carl kept his thoughts to himself, as Leo was so happy, not knowing that they were silently judging him for wearing a tricorn hat with boots and nothing else. Not that the design was uncommon for a Tortellin who had issues wearing any sort of regular clothing, but it was still uncommon to see within the clan. Carl stopped out in front of the school, where the other parents were dropping off their younger children. The PDA women were nowhere to be seen, much to his relief, but there were many familiar faces out front. Cindy Lou ran over to Leo and laughed as she grabbed his hat. "This is too cool. OMG, it's an actual item. A bonded epic grade item. Your dad is too generous," she gushed as she placed the hat on her own head. Leo laughed. "I got it in the dungeon. When I'm a turtle, I'm strong enough to go along." Cindy Lou put the hat back on his head, and the rest of his classmates, who were all waiting for their teacher to escort them inside, all came to hear Leo's adventure stories. He had been gone for a few days, and now he was back with epic grade clothes.
How cool was that?
"You got to go to a dungeon? Like on a tour with your dad?" one of the kids asked. "As a helper. I'm super strong as a turtle, you know, but the Carl does most of the work." Leo agreed. Leo was about to start on a longer story about the dungeon when the teacher came out to get them all. "Children, I see that we've got everyone in attendance today. Mr. Carl, if your Leo is unwell in the future, please notify us of his absence." "That's my fault. I took him out of class to go run a dungeon." The teacher stared at Carl for a second, as if the words had failed to translate, despite them speaking the same language. "You took Leo, little Leo the Tortellin, into an immortal rank dungeon? He's actually a false island giant turtle. This is a transformation spell that represents his age and development. As a magical beast, he was in no real danger in the dungeon, and it was a great way to get him some new fashion while giving him a great story for his classmates." The teacher did not look impressed, but the kids did. "All right, everyone in line. Stand next to your seat, buddy." Leo moved into line with the others, standing next to Cindy Lou, while the other parents watched with amusement as the teacher tried to wrangle a bunch of first-grade students who were all excited to hear the rest of Leo's story. Slowly, they made their way inside, and the group of mothers turned to Carl for answers. "You let him keep and wear epic grade items? Aren't you worried that he will accidentally hurt someone? That's a lot of strength bonuses." Carl shook his head. Leo is used to the difference between full strength and gentle. The extra bonus adds to the top, but it doesn't make it harder to be gentle with things. It's about the same as when we're wearing gear. "But he's still a child." The woman reminded him. "Well, I suppose that is true. A child's temper can get the best of them. I don't think that an added hat will change much if Leo loses his cool and transforms in the classroom. The building isn't that sturdy. He'd take the whole classroom down before anyone could stop him." Before the teacher could say anything, Opal appeared. "I can show you a replay. It will make more sense if you see it,"
she offered.
"Oh, Miss Opal. I heard that you were going to make a replay of Tion's attempt at vicious mockery." Cindy Lou's mother laughed. "I've got it ready. I don't have the whole trip edited, but I have the vicious mockery highlights done. But first, Leo in action." She created an illusionary domain around them and recreated the dungeon with a focus on Leo. He was standing in the back, away from the majority of the combat, but when an obsession demon broke through, he flattened it with gravity slam and one huge flipper. That gave Dana time to adjust her position and parry the following attacks, while Leo kept up his attacks. He's actually pretty good at that, isn't he? And he's so big as a turtle that I would have never thought that he was just a little imp in humanoid form. Opal laughed. Don't forget how large a species gets if they make it to supreme rank. The ladies nodded. Right, we may have forgotten that his grown form is the size of a large city. It's not exactly a common thing to see one of the giant beasts anywhere in this region, much less in humanoid form. The ocean here is a mana-dead zone once you get too far offshore, and the southeastern region of the continent is heavily populated, hardly suitable as a grazing ground for something that large. Carl nodded. I will teach him a skill to help him modulate his size as well. That way he can keep following us into the dungeons to play. It doesn't suppress his strength, just his mass. Then we will look forward to seeing the videos. Now, about that show of the little fox. Chapter 1622. Nothing Nefarious. Carl left to find a gift for Tessa, while Opal discussed her plans to rent one of the theater spaces for her showing of the dungeon run. There were so many things in the clan compound that he didn't even know where to start. What did you get as a happy egg-laying day? And sorry about the damage I'm sure that caused combination gift. Maybe Min knew? Carl made his way to the warehouse, where he found the green dragon on duty. However, the moment that she spotted him, Min immediately turned to leave. Wait. Nope, not ringing in that transaction. I'm not here to turn in the dungeon rewards. I need to find a gift for a friend. Min paused. Alright, I will believe you. What sort of gift are you looking for? Say, hypothetically, you used a skill that would help beasts evolve, and it may have caused a pregnant dragonkin priestess to lay 5 rather oversized eggs. What sort of gift would you get them? Min stared at him, gobsmacked. That can't be a serious question, can it? I wish I could say it wasn't. Think ostrich eggs. Min winced. Even if she fully shifted into a scaled form, that's big for human-sized. And 5 of them. What the hell was she sleeping with? An impenetrable bulwark behemoth in humanoid form. He's quite proud of the impending additions to his herd. The green dragon frowned. And what sort of mood was she in this morning? Not sure. I ran away before she woke up. You're smarter than you look.
No, cancel that.
You're luckier than expected. Alright, I think that I know what you need. She disappeared into the back room, while her co-worker at the next counter stared silently at Carl. This guy was insane. Forget the thing about a dragonkin somehow getting pregnant by a transformed behemoth. That was wild enough that it needed a whole story of its own. He had done something that caused her to have 5 children? Or had he advanced them and caused an existing set of quintuplets to be transformed into an egg-born species? And he thought that you could actually find a gift to make up for that? Just thinking about it made her insides ache. So, this behemoth, I don't suppose he has any behemoth friends? I know a girl who might want to meet them. She asked. Carl chuckled at her teasing tone. Unfortunately, none that live nearby. But I will keep it in mind, should one of them be looking for a lady friend. Min came back out and looked between the two of them. You're not trying to find me a date, are you? Of course not. If I wanted to set you up with someone, I would have asked if little Tion had an older brother. Oh, then Janice from the PDA? Both girls laughed, but Carl didn't quite get what the reference was. Janice certainly did seem like the sort that needed to get laid, though. Min noticed the confusion on Carl's face and leaned over to whisper conspiratorially to him. Get it? Because she's a giant, see you.
Oh.
Elder, welcome to the warehouse. I will be with you as soon as I am finished with this transaction. Carl noticed the aura of an ascended immortal behind him, but didn't recognize the woman's aura. Take your time. I need to speak with the pet sitter. The fact that she knew the true name of Carl's class meant that she wanted something that only he could do, so Carl motioned for Min to put the treasure she had found onto the counter. Is that an entire crate full of chocolates? It is. Are there raspberry-filled ones? There are. Perfect. How much? 1 clan credit for the crate. They're immortal rank, made by the Mystic Cooks. Normally, they sell for 10 silver a box, but I suspect that you need the whole case. Remy is already working on an immortal rank stretch cream. Carl agreed. The elder frowned at Carl. I'm starting to become concerned about what exactly you plan to do to someone with those chocolates. Nothing nefarious. They're an apology gift after a skill had an unexpected side effect. Now, what might I do for you today? Do you have the bond pet skill? she asked. Carl looked into his skill tree and saw the one she meant, but he already had a very similar skill. Not that particular one, but I do have Benevolent Elder if you want to bond a beast to someone without a class assignment. Benevolent Elder and bonded upgraded beasts gain the ability to form a contract with eligible targets before the target's initial class selection. It was a skill from the Beast Master Packmaster skill tree, and one that had come in handy on many occasions in the past, including for the refugee beast rangers that were currently in the tiny world. Or I have Chosen Partner, which will allow the bond to be formed with someone eligible who has a system, but it makes the decision the beasts, not the system users. That one is probably the stronger of the two by quite a bit, as it has far fewer limitations. But if the target isn't good friends with the beast, it could be an issue. He added, Chosen Partner, Epic Grade. Allows an unbonded magical beast to choose a compatible target to bond with through a beast space. The Elder nodded. Actually, that does provide some flexibility. I don't know if the person in question has activated their system yet. I actually came here on behalf of the beast, after I heard from an old friend that there was a pet sitter in the clan. Oh, now that is surprising. What sort of beast are we talking about? Nothing too dangerous. Now, do you have a few moments to travel with me? It would be best if we could do this before the young one gains a system interface, and it might be soon. The Elder was wearing a clan badge, and Min knew who it was, so they weren't likely to be trying to abduct him.
Probably.
But he still sent out a mental message. Ray, if you lose contact with me, come find out where I went. I'm headed off with an Elder to help a child bond their first beast. Got it. If you don't come back, I get to go on a stabbing spree. Chapter 16:23. Follow the Elder. Fortunately for Carl, the Elder did not lead him out of the clan compound, but instead she led him off into one of the more secluded residential areas, where many of the clan's ascended immortals lived, as Carl could feel the auras exuding from the properties. She led him into a compound that looked like it was supposed to be an art museum, with paintings and statues everywhere, including places that statues really shouldn't be. Carl wove his way through the maze of bronze and stone, following the Elder up to the second floor, where he could hear childish voices arguing. I am telling you, it's just a bit late. I am going to get my class before my 12th birthday. A young girl was insisting. You are not. You're defective. We all got ours before 10, you're not getting a class at all. A boy's voice taunted her, clearly older than she was. So that's what it was. The Elder's children were squabbling, and the youngest was late to awaken her class. Not particularly late, she was not even 12 yet. But if the rest of her family had done it at 9, he could see the reason for them to be concerned. Perhaps they were dragons? Most of the dragon species awaken their systems about the time that they started school, as Carl recalled hearing from some of the other students who were hanging out with Kara. By the time that they reached their 3rd year, most of them were well on their way to becoming proper little immortals. Everyone fell silent when the Elder came into the room with Carl behind her, but she didn't say anything, despite clearly having heard the whole conversation. Anila, come with us. The Elder insisted, then left for the backyard without saying anything else. That seemed a bit cold to Carl, but it was quite possible that she was disappointed with the girl's slow development. However, when Carl got a good look at the girl, he couldn't miss the pointed ears. She was either part fae or part elf. Either would explain why she was slow to develop. Elves develop slower than humans, and fae could be unpredictable. Once they were outside the house, the Elder opened a portal, and a large cat stepped through. The oversized paws said that it was still a kitten, but it was already the size of a large dog. The cat's fur was inky black, but Carl could see that there was a mottled pattern underneath it, suggesting that it was either a unique lineage, or it would grow out of the childish pattern as it matured. Hello, Carl-type creature. The cat greeted him, and Carl smiled, then scratched its head between the ears, making the big kitten purr. Wait, how did you know it wouldn't attack? The Elder asked. He just said hello. Why would he attack me after greeting me? Wait, don't answer that. I can totally see some of my beasts doing exactly that just for the entertainment value. The cat purred with amusement, then turned to the girl. Do you think that she tastes like milk? She looks like milk. Probably. Just take a lick and find out. Anila squeaked, as the cat licked a path up the side of her face. The elder sighed. What the hell? Can you not cause trouble for 5 minutes? As you might want to guess, these are the two I wanted to bond. I get a pet elf? The cat asked, confused. Sort of. She should get a beast ranger type class, so you'll get a partner to play in the woods with and a separate space to sleep safely. Carl explained. You know, it would help if we could understand both sides of this conversation. The elder noted. The system doesn't translate for you? When has it ever translated beast thoughts and noises? Only sentient species languages get translated. As a divine beast, Carl was reasonably certain that this beast was sentient. And it had to be a divine beast as it was immortal as a kitten and it had a bit of that other feeling to its magic the same way that Tion did. Carl shrugged. I never had any issues, but it might be related to my class progression. Now, I forgot to ask your name, but would you like to form a bond with Miss Anila here? It will help you both grow more quickly if it is successful. The actual method could be an issue. Benevolent Elder required using evolution on the beast first, and if he did that, the cat would be too strong for the girl to bond at all. Her mind would shatter. But the other option required that she have a system and class suitable to bonding the beast first. So, the best option would be to give her a skill and force her to awaken a class so that the cat could use chosen partner. Or he could spend a few points to learn bond pet and use it on the half-elf to bond the cat to her directly. No, there was another option. He could trigger a rare class by giving her a beast-type skill that would let them form the bond without him doing it. What are you thinking? The elder asked. There are multiple options, since both parties are willing. So, I'm wondering if I should evolve our furry friend and risk him getting too strong for the bond, or if it would be better to teach Miss Anila a skill that will awaken her class immediately. You can do that? I am a pet sitter. Of course I can. The elder considered the matter as if the input of the two involved parties was irrelevant. Though, they were both children, so she might feel justified making the decision for them. Awaken her class first. Whether she is worthy of Porky is secondary to her having a class. Damn woman, always calling me fat. I am a kitten. I'm supposed to be chubby. My name is Shade. Carl chuckled, then shook his head at the elder, trying to avoid telling her that the cat was not fond of her name for him. But he did keep petting Shade's head so that the cat didn't attack her. He would not win that fight. Chapter 1624, Shade's Bond. Alright, I will teach the skill first, and then I will activate Chosen Partner, so that Shade can bond with her directly. Why do you call him that? Anila asked. That's what he said his name is. The girl nodded, and the elder smiled, seeing a solution to her problem in sight. First, Carl activated Follow Me Little One, and chose to give Anila the Beast Space skill, hoping that it would work now that he was an immortal. Pet sitter Carl Grant's knowledge skill, Beast Space, has been transferred to Shade's pet Anila. Carl chuckled both at the description and the way that the Follow Me Little One message had changed with his class change. No longer did it ask them if they wanted the skill, it simply gave it to them. But the fact that the system already considered her the cat's pet boded ill for her future as an independent being. Chosen Partner, activated. Shade has chosen his partner. Anila was lost in the system selection screen when the cat vanished, retreating into his new beast space to start the necessary renovations. They're going to need plants, possibly some bedding and other materials. The beast space starts out pretty bare and needs to be mentally formed, but it works better when there are real objects in there. What species is he, anyhow? The cat? He's an orphan divine moor cat that I picked up a few months back. His mother was hunted for resources, but he was hidden, and the sect doing the hunting didn't notice him. Or, if you mean the girl, she's half-elf. Carl nodded. I guess that part. It's also why she is late to activate her system. Elves mature more slowly, even half-elves do, though not to the same extreme. That's why she hadn't awakened yet. She likely wouldn't have activated a class until close to 20. That's the usual age for them, as I remember. The elder shook her head. You're still young. The competition between immortal-born is fierce. Here, even the elves find a way to force early awakening so that their children aren't vulnerable for decades. 10 years is already a long time to be locked down protecting the children. But for elves, where their children don't usually awaken for 50 years, It's an eternity to prevent the news of a powerful member's weakness from being used against them. Ah, so that's how it is. While the children don't have a class, they're a target painted on your back, easy leverage to get an ascended immortal to do something unsavory. The elder nodded. Have you made plans for when your wife gets pregnant? Carl smiled. Actually, those plans were made for me. You see, the beasts are very protective of their Dana mage, and now we've got an immortal rank behemoth in the group. He's also got a fresh clutch of his own to protect, so I suspect that not many will be able to get past him. When did you go hunting for a behemoth? He was mortal, mythic rank, and just advanced. He was actually the second member of my team, other than Hawk. So that's how it is. Well, I can't say that you're wrong to want a behemoth on your side, assuming that you can manage to feed him. That's always the tricky part with the larger species. Even this divine moor cat is a pain to feed, as they will often refuse anything but specific wild beast meats. Hawk laughed at her comment. When you tried to keep a wild beast as a pet, what else could they do in the face of overwhelming power but annoy you with small things like being a picky eater? After over a minute of standing immobile, Anila finally returned to the land of the living and ran over to hug Carl. It's amazing! My class awakened and I got to bond with Shade, and I've got all sorts of ranger-type skills available in my skill tree. Even my class abilities are good. Carl patted her head, while the elder questioned her daughter. So, what class did it give you, and what were your class skills? I will arrange tutors and supplemental training to help you catch up. The little half-elf looked horrified at the impending workload, but dutifully answered. My class is Forest Stalker, and I have Bow Specialty, Silent Movement, and Shadow Meld as class skills. Well, then I've also got Shred and Ambush from Shade. Bonding with a Divine Moor cat grants me their innate skills. That was better than even Carl had expected. Most rangers would be able to use a skill from their beasts, whether it was an innate one, or something that their class granted. But getting to use both of the Divine Moor cat's innate skills was going to be amazing for her advancement. Silent Movement, Shadow Meld, and Ambush combined with a Shred, Enhanced Arrow would be a huge first strike bonus for her. As a hunting-focused ranger class, there wasn't much better that she could hope for at the very start of her progression. The elder nodded slowly, making a tutoring plan for the girl as she processed the skill names. All right, I know what you need, and I will get you started tonight. Evening lessons will be most beneficial to you, as a stealth-based hunting class with a more cat bonded. You should go rest now. You've got a long night ahead of you, and I need to talk to the Carl for a moment. Anila bowed formally, then ran back inside, eager to gloat to her brothers that she now had an even better class than they did. And it really was an amazing class. All right, you managed to pull through and bound the girl with the best possible beast for a young elf. So I won't be stingy with the reward. Do you prefer clan credits or rare items? Either is fine by me. I have a stockpile of both, but there can never be enough rare magic, especially when you have multiple beasts to consider. Chapter 1625, Training a Cat. Their attention was briefly caught by the sight of a large black creature dragging something out the door, then leaping directly onto the third-floor balcony. It seems my daughter has some training to do with her new pet, the elder noted. Carl laughed. I suspect the issue is that the relationship runs the other way. Shade views her as the pet, not him. So, when she didn't go where he wanted, he simply picked her up and moved her. You knew this would happen, didn't you? From the moment that I started speaking with him, yes. But it's fine. They will work out an arrangement, just like all other ranger and beast pairs do. It's just that she is bonded with an especially strong divine beast, with an equally overbearing personality. Trying to break him will only make him bitter and make life difficult for everyone involved. But they're still young. There is no big rush to have them combat ready and headed out on missions. Miss Anila isn't even going to look like a proper human high schooler for at least 4 or 5 years yet. However, the elder knew that it wasn't a matter of appearance. It was a matter of keeping up with her age mates, her peers in school. When they started to go out on missions, they would expect her to do it as well, no matter how late she was to develop, which was going to be an issue on its own. Carl, I need your skill. I can't put my elf away. Shade called from the window. She got the class, she hosts the space. That's how it works. Carl called back. The elder sighed. Speaking all forms of beast really is an advantage. Now, back to business. I have an idea of proper payment for unceremoniously dragging you away from your day. Well, at least she was self-aware enough to realize it. Elder Xiao Bai offers knowledge, skill, ancient wisdom, will be transferred to the Carl. Ancient wisdom, immortal rank, epic grade. Allows the caster to grant one skill usable by themselves or an active summon to their entire party. Usable as a guild skill. Carl stared at the system notification. If you could do that all along, why did you need me to use it? He asked. If I did it for her after her awakening, it would be blatant favoritism, as I refuse to do it for my other children. Making them work for their gains teaches independence and critical thinking. However, what do you mean I can do it as well? That skill can only be used after awakening. Believe me, I did consider using it on that daughter of mine to get her started toward a class. Do you have a way to make it work for everyone? Or did you have the beast bond her first to trigger the system interface, then grant her the skill to gain a class option? Carl realized that he might have done something stranger than simply causing an awakening. She had said that she knew his class, so he assumed that she knew he could cause an awakening. Now, however, it appeared that she had assumed that he was going to bond the beast to the girl to cause the awakening, not grant her a skill to cause the same effect. Either way would have worked, but Carl had wanted to give her the best matched one to go with her new cat. The system message that I got is the same one that I get when I cast Follow Me, Little One, so I assumed it was the same skill. Carl began. Wait, what did you call it? What I cast was the Peerless Grade skill transfer. Oh, now that made a lot more sense. It's a Beast Master Pack Master skill from my previous class. Essentially the same effect as skill transfer, I assume. It has to be a skill that I know and that they're compatible with. That name implies something unsavory, she replied. Carl laughed at the suspicion in her tone. In the defense of the skill, it wasn't intended to be used on other people. It's supposed to be to bribe new beasts to join my team. The elder relaxed a little as she realized that it was a slight repurposing of a perfectly normal skill for a beast master to have. Beasts wouldn't have a class when you met them, and likely wouldn't get one after bonding with a beast master. So, granting them a skill to buy loyalty was an excellent talent for the beast master to learn. The fact that it could be used to awaken classes was a bonus. One that she would prefer to keep secret. She had no intentions of being the one tasked with protecting Carl should her actions cause the secret to leak, and other sects start hunting him to recruit him for their factions. Carl paused for a moment and used earth manipulation to create a small earth element stone and began to quickly carve runes into it. Are you perhaps making an Awakening Day gift for Anila? The elder asked. For Shade, actually. He requested something special just a moment ago. The elder laughed at Carl's open bias towards keeping the beast happy, but wondered just what it was that he was making. Carl finished the Villa stone, and then attached it to a black leather collar that Ray had created. There were plenty of similar ones, mostly with strength buffs on them, which would be somewhat less than perfect for Shade, but even the stealthiest of beasts could still use a bit more strength.
Here, catch.
That should solve your dilemma. He called, then hurled the collar toward the cat. Shade caught it in his mouth and quickly equipped it. He tugged in annoyance at the collar around his neck, then sighed and gave up. If that was the price to get what he needed, he would wear the collar. Then, he stuffed Anila into the villa space and followed her in, vanishing from the balcony. That's going to be problematic. The elder noted. It's a low-grade barrier. If you know where they are, someone as strong as you can surely pull them back out. I would rather not play hide and seek with an invisible cat who can vanish into a separate space. He can do that anyhow. The stone I gave him is so that he can put Nilla into a separate space to rest and study. If I'm not wrong, Shade intends to begin intensive training right now and not wait for nightfall. Chapter 1626, Food for Thought. The elder laughed at Carl's analysis of the situation. Well, at least one of them is taking this seriously. For a moment, he seriously considered telling her that he wasn't joking about the cat considering her daughter as his pet, but decided that it would be better if the situation sorted itself out naturally. Shade had a space to store his elf in now, so it was nearly as good as being the one in charge of the situation. Well, if that's all settled, then I should be getting back to my apartment. There are people waiting for me to finish with my morning routine and join them for breakfast. The elder nodded. I take it that you have a proficient mystic cook among your team members, as you call the beasts? I don't see you headed to the dining hall often. I do. It's simply more efficient to eat at home most of the time. We only really come out when there is something that we want to do, or a major event about to start that we should find a group for in advance. You can post up on the boards for that. You're top of the Spirit Immortal rankings, and you haven't fought a match to put you on the Void Immortal board yet, so it shouldn't be too difficult for you to find clan members to go with you wherever you need to be to find your next resource. You have a good point. We haven't been heading out of the clan compound much, only for that one mission and the dungeon trip. Now that most of my group is stabilized at the Immortal Spirit level, we should start heading out and experiencing more of the world. The elder smiled at him. Well, I would suggest that you start close to home. There are a number of randomly appearing hidden spaces in the wilderness nearby, and this world is vastly larger than anything you might have experienced in the mortal world. How so? The size of the continent, for one. The planet itself has nearly 10 times the diameter of a mortal realm world of the same gravity. When everything can travel as fast as immortals do, most of the realms are created to be very large, reducing the impact of condensed populations. For example, there is an inland sea northwest of us that is nearly 6,000 kilometers across, and that is still considered to be in the far southeast of the continent. Carl whistled in appreciation. Leo will love that. We'll have to visit at some point. It would be a great spot for him, I think. There are a lot of water element enemies and resources, both in and around the lake. So, it's certainly worth exploring if you are bonded to a water element beast like the little turtle. Are there any other hot spots to consider, or places that I should avoid? If you're staying in the immediate vicinity, say within 500 kilometers, there isn't much to be concerned about. There are only 2 major cities in the region, Kondim and Kikirinha. Both of them are neutral to friendly with the New Home clan most of the time, and there aren't any major dungeons or trials in the region, just the unstable hidden realms and other separate spaces that appear at random all over the continent. Is that a regular thing in the immortal realms? The elder laughed and patted him on the shoulder. If only you knew. You see, when an immortal dies, their essence vanishes and their spells dissolve. But separate spaces are different. They're somewhat stable on their own. So, when the one who created them dies, they simply drift aimlessly around the realm. Some remain in one spot and phase in and out of contact with reality. Others appear wherever they want. This place has existed for millions of years, and the death toll is in the trillions of immortals. The pure number of separate spaces that exist in the immortal realms ensures that, even if each of them would only appear once in a millennium, seeing such a space is not at all uncommon. Put like that, I suppose that it does make sense. I was told by an immortal in my old home that developing a separate space is an essential part of becoming an immortal. The elder's eyes sharpened. That's an interesting take on it. I don't suppose that he said more about it.
Carl shook his head. No.
It was just a casual remark while we were having dinner. He seemed quite certain that it was necessary, though. Something about immortals needing to create their own space and territory. The elder smiled and nodded. Ah, one of the old ones, then. You see, there was a time when it was all the rage for every powerful immortal to make a new immortal world of their own and populate it. Some believed that it helped to reach supremacy, others simply wanted to rule over others. But what they eventually found was that it was very isolating for the most powerful immortals to spend all their time in a separate world. So, while there are billions of immortal worlds, most of them were abandoned by their creators. They exist in a perpetual state of limbo. There are immortals who grow their entire lives there, strive for the peak, and often leave, without realizing that the world they live on was the result of someone else attempting to do the same thing they are. It's an odd thing, really. I can't say whether it works or not. I haven't reached the peak of immortality quite yet, and I haven't tried making my own world. However, I have read enough history to know that many of the legends of the past had their own worlds, created when such a thing was fashionable. Carl laughed. I won't argue against that. The appeal of having your own world full of followers has a certain appeal to it. Though I suppose that might actually be an advantage for those aiming for divinity. The elder looked shocked. I think that you are right. For immortals, it's largely vanity. But the easiest way to build divinity is through worship of a legend. If they're the only legend known to their world, wouldn't that make it easier for them to keep them loyal? Though, I would assume that there are limits to it, or more of the legends would have become demigods. Carl shrugged. Food for thought, anyhow. Enjoy your morning. Chapter 1627. Peace Offering. With his task accomplished, and his apology gift in hand, Carl returned himself to the tiny world the moment that he was back in his apartment. He could have done it from in the middle of the city, but that would risk revealing the presence and location of the separate space to others. With so many resources and most or the residents still mortals, that was not a good idea. Some things were universal, and the need to have the strength to defend any resources that you claimed was just as true here as it was in the Xylaz region with their dungeons. The elders' talk of finding resources and hidden spaces out in the wilderness around the city did intrigue Carl, though. Once he had everyone settled and knew that Tessa's eggs were going to be fine, he would see if the others wanted to come out for an adventure with him. Small groups often wandered the wilderness, unlike the larger groups that went to visit known trial grounds and hidden resources. Alone, they would have a good chance of finding something necessary, given their level of luck bonus from the system. That alone would make it worth the trip. But it also came with a chance to explore the region and gather local plants. The magical plants of the immortal world were necessary to the development of new alchemy recipes and the growth of their beasts. Getting immortal rank food was the fastest way to push the beast's power higher. Once he could finally start on the road of ascendance, when the true power of an immortal began to stack, instead of working through the smaller power increases of the first few foundational steps, then Carl would be confident that he could protect his people. His first stop inside the space was Tessa's room, where he could hear her and Thor chatting with someone. She didn't sound murderous, so Carl came in with his peace offering in hand. For you, congratulations on 5 happy, healthy eggs, he explained. Tessa laughed and shook her head when she saw the label on the case. You really brought back a whole case of high-end chocolates from the immortal realm? Carl smiled at her confused expression. I asked what would be appropriate, and this is what the green dragon at the counter came up with. Tessa rolled her eyes. Of course, the green dragon saw sweets as the appropriate answer to everything. She wasn't wrong, though. These smell absolutely delicious. Is that what had you away half the morning?
Carl shook his head.
No, I had to help an elder for a bit. She had a daughter that wanted to awaken a special class to bond with a divine cat-type beast that she had acquired. She already knew that I had the skill for it, based on the class that I have, so she came and found me at the warehouse while I was getting chocolates. Understandable. You have some very useful skills for helping children advance. It is a bit concerning that someone actually knew that you had the ability, though. Isn't that the sort of thing that should be private? Carl shrugged. She knew what was in the skill tree. So, presumably she has either met one before or she had done significant research. The skill trees of most classes are known if you know where to look. That is true. Fortunately for me, I have a few more weeks before I have to worry about what classes my little ones are going to want. Though, if they mature at a normal rate and not a beast space enhanced rate, I might have years. Carl nodded. It would be a shame to steal the joy of a new mother from them. Thor smiled. Yep, hatchlings are too adorable to want them to grow up. Look how cute Tion is, and he's already started to grow up. Of course, even fully grown, Tion's species was not large. At best, he would get a bit larger than Kara was, but more slender with longer legs. Not a huge and imposing species, even when they were incredibly powerful. None of Tessa's offspring from this clutch would be small and fluffy. Hey Fee, can you have Lotus bring up some snacks? Actually, we should go downstairs. We can eat at the table like civilized people, and I can lock the room to keep troublemakers out. Carl considered telling her that it wouldn't help. Kara and Remy both knew the trick to entering wherever in the tiny world that they wanted. So, they could bounce into the locked room, cause chaos, and then retreat to their space. They might have to wait until Thor was asleep, though. He would catch them immediately if they tried to mess with his herd. Someone knocking at the door to their apartment caught Carl's attention. Rather, it caught the attention of the gargoyles in the apartment, and they notified him that someone was at the door. I will be right back. Someone is knocking at the apartment door. I should go greet the guests, or tell them to go away. You're popular. We understand. We will save you something from lunch. Tessa advised him. Find my Dana mage. I'm sure that she's hungry by now. Carl left the tiny world and straightened his clothes to greet whoever their guest was as the badger gargoyles opened the door for their guest. The elder from earlier in the day entered with a scowl on her face and a smug-looking cat in her hands. Ah, elder. Good day. What brings you here? I assume it's something to do with Shade, as you brought him along. The cat has abducted my children. The absolute smugness on the cat's face said that she was telling the absolute truth, and that he regretted nothing. And you want me to get them back out of the Villa Stone? Carl asked, verifying the situation. If it wouldn't cause a backlash, I would get rid of this brat and have Anilabond a better-behaved more cat, she grumbled. You've done it now. She's ready to turn you into Wolf Chow on day one. Is there some reason that everyone is in the villa when they're supposed to be studying? Carl asked the cat. They are studying and hiding from their mother. Chapter 16:28. Return for refund. Carl smiled at the cat and fluffed his ears. You know that you have to get along with her, right? She controls the food. The more cat kitten gave the elder a suspicious look. Surely she wouldn't withhold the food? He thought that they had an understanding. She did look pretty serious, though. Reluctantly, the cat pulled the two boys back out of the villa, leaving them confused and holding pencils. See, they were studying. Carl noted. Hi. Where are we? Did you know that Anila got a whole house with her new class? One of the boys asked. Indeed, I did. I was there when she got it. Is it a pretty cool house? Carl asked. The elder smiled at his oblivious act. Obviously, he knew what it looked like. He made it. But the boys were excitedly telling him all about the place and how it had everything that they needed, as long as they brought their own schoolbooks and snacks. You know, if I had known that it was that easy to get them back out, I would have done it myself. Carl winked at her. It's all about leverage. You have to understand your counterpart if you're going to negotiate the release of hostages, even if they're school children hiding from their mother so they can snack without getting caught. There is a food creation nature magic spell in the kitchen of the villa. The kids' eyes lit up as they received that information. They didn't know how to cook, so they hadn't gone into the kitchen. But if it could make snacks for them, they would go and try. Even if it made popcorn and peanuts, or caramel popcorn, that would be great. Even mixed nuts and a fruit platter was a great snack. They should be able to get the spell to make that. You're doing that on purpose. The elder stated in a flat tone. 100% yes. Just be glad that they don't have mystic cooking, or they might become impossible to drag back out into the real world for dinner. I suppose that there should be an amendment to the arrangement that you have with Shade. It appears that feeding him was definitely part of the deal, but letting you into the separate space for Anila was not detailed. The elder stared at the chubby little beast. I can't believe that I'm negotiating with a furry toddler. Carl chuckled at her annoyance. That will happen far more in life than you might expect. At least, it will when you have a ranger in the family, even if she's an advanced ranger class. How about this? I will explain things, and see what it will take to make our furry friend behave. She can't have my Anila back. She's mine. I licked her. I think that rule only works with food. The cat looked confused, while the two boys began to laugh. He just said something about licking the food to claim it, didn't he? One of them asked. Carl nodded. Shade is of the opinion that it is a universal rule. The elder smiled as she looked down at the cat. I will have you know that I licked her first, so I've got first claim. Shade sighed and brought Anila out of the villa, startling the girl, who still had half a watermelon and a spoon in her hands. The elder gave her an unimpressed look, and the little elf promptly vanished back into the villa as her brothers began to laugh. Oh, she is in so much trouble. I don't suppose that there is a way to get into that space to collect her? You could ask Shade, as the stone is bonded to him. But other than that, you would need to break the barrier over the space and collapse it to kick her out. That could be an issue, as I don't know if it would break the item. All right, I will come to an agreement with the cat, as well as with my daughter, who should already know that there are repercussions for skipping dinner to eat watermelon in hiding. Shade made what Carl took as feline laughter, and Anila came back out, now without the watermelon, and with her hands and face freshly washed. Mother, it's a surprise to see you so early. I thought that we weren't training together until after dark. That was before you went to hide in a separate space with your brothers when dinner was ready. You might not have needed to be anywhere until dark, but they did have tasks to finish, and you were all expected to be on time for dinner, even if you had a more cat to lock the door for you. Carl could see that the little elf was doing her best to come up with an excuse for about 5 seconds before giving up.
Sorry, Mother.
We will be sure to return on time. And I will send you a system message to let you know where I will be. Anila tried. Her mother gave her a stern look for a few more seconds and then relented. All right, everyone back to the house, and apologize for making Mr. Carl take time out of his day to get you out of the villa. Anila didn't turn to Carl. She looked at Shade, who gave her a smug smile. The cat had definitely locked her mom out. Sorry, I was just excited to show off my new class and the villa. Carl patted her on the head. It's not a problem, just a miscommunication because your mother can't understand Shade, so she can't speak to him properly. Anila nodded. She comes from another world, just like you do. But her system is different, and she doesn't get all the same features. In that case, make sure that you can send her system messages before you leave. If you can't, I will make an item to allow you to message each other. Message, whereas, OH, that's a lot of messages. A lot of messages. The elder smiled as her daughter panicked. She had sent dozens of messages, but the kids all had their notifications off and hadn't bothered to check them, even when it was getting close to dinner. Anila might have some excuse, as it was her first day, but the boys did not. Chapter 1629, Nyan comes bearing dragons. Carl gave Shade one final warning before they all left. You need to listen to the elder. She controls everything from behind the scenes, and she can make your Anila either very happy or very miserable with extra schoolwork if you don't play along, he warned the Moor cat. Shade gave the woman a suspicious glare, which made the elder laugh. That's part of my duties as a mother. I can also change your afternoon snack from forest pheasant to mud skipper fish if you're not willing to cooperate. That was all it took to convince Shade that this woman was not playing around. If she was willing to make him eat that horrible fish as a snack, she was capable of anything. He might be fond of his pet elf, but some sacrifices had to be made in order to keep the peace. The others left the apartment, and Carl was about to close the door when he heard his name being called from down the street.
Carl.
Don't run away yet. Nyan called as she ran toward him with Jeff in her arms. What's up? You look a bit panicked, but Jeff doesn't appear to be injured. Carl replied with an easy smile. Oh, Jeff is good. I just happened to be holding him when I heard your voice. I actually came out to ask if you wanted to go on an adventure with us. You see, the dungeon is still all packed with VIP sorts from the clans, and only the groups close to peak immortal are getting in. They're trying to do a thing, I think, or push someone to advance to supreme ranked. So, we're out for the round. But that means that the elders from the other sects are all busy, and we can go out on an adventure looking for good stuff without them interfering. There is nothing worse than finding good stuff only to have it poached from you at the last second. So, your thought is to take me with you instead of one of the elders, and we can explore the wilderness near the clan compound, looking for good stuff?
Carl asked.
Nyan nodded eagerly. I think that it will be perfect. Of course, Jeff will have to stay behind, as he doesn't have as much physical strength or mana pool yet, but I think that we can get a few others to go with us. Your usual group with Jean, Argoth, and Alicia? Nyan shook her head. No, they're off doing important people stuff. But we can likely get Cora and some of the Lycans. They love going on adventures in the woods. Carl thought about it for a moment, then had a brilliant idea. Or, we could try to recruit a few from the outer city. I think that the Blue Elves might be up for some adventures on land, and they've got strength. Nyan frowned. That's dangerous. The ones who are weak enough that they might go with us are often recruiters for human traffickers. You might not be worried about it, but I would have a hard time escaping. All right then, no random group members from outside the clan. At least if you get abducted by a clan member, they'll bring you home. Nine laughed, then got excited. Is your Dana mage inside? Can I come visit? She's currently visiting some friends, but I think that you can come in, and it won't be an issue. Bring Jeff with you. Carl brought them inside, then quickly moved them both into the tiny world before Nyan could realize that they were moving between spaces and not rooms. Jeff, on the other hand, noticed immediately. There are an astounding number of dragon eggs ready to hatch in here. What have you done? And where is this place? He demanded in his tiny voice. This is my tiny world, and I rescued those orphaned eggs some time ago. Now they're getting ready to hatch. You should stay here for a bit. It will help you advance and grow to your full potential. Plus, we've got a red dragon orphanage here. Soft laughter from the other room preceded a blue-robed young man's entrance. I see that you've brought us more guests. Is that a divine lightning dragon? It looks like his aura has been damaged. Definitely leave him here with us for a bit. The alchemists have just the thing to get him all patched up. Librarian Ike, the resident blue dragon of the tiny world, informed them. A potion to repair a damaged soul. Jeff asked incredulously. Of course. We've got runic alchemists in the guild. Repairing a damaged soul or essence isn't a big deal. We'll get you all patched up in no time, and then you'll grow up just as big and strong as your clutch mates. Carl laughed as Jeff glared at the blue dragon. He was resurrected by Lotus. It reformed his body from a damaged soul as a hatchling, instead of as a grown dragon with a damaged soul. He's not actually as young as he looks.
Carl explained.
Oh, my apologies. I thought that you had suffered an unfortunate accident that led to you being captured and cuddled half to death by the cat girl. No, that's a good description of what happened. Ike laughed at Jeff's sour tone. Well, either way, we can repair the issue. Soon we will have mythic rank potions, or we can ask Lady Remy to do the honors, and she will make them at the immortal rank for you. Jeff rolled his eyes. If I could afford that, I would have done it already. The blue dragon shrugged. Services are complimentary for guild members and residents of the tiny world in exchange for services rendered. I am certain that they can work something out. We've got over 100 hatchlings expected this week, and they will need a role model their size to help guide them on the right path. Normally, we just use an illusion, or one of the red dragons fills the role of a parent. But they respond better if there is another young dragon around that is responsible. We would ask Button, but the forest dragon is a bit too green to be responsible, and the only other small dragon we have is the green dragon priestess at totem rank. Jeff snorted in amusement, lightning crackling around his snout. Yes, I can see how you would not want to let those two be the guiding force for 100 newborns. It's marginally better than letting the Chaos Badger do it, but only in the short term. Chapter 1630. Nyan wants out. Ooh, we should bring Brother Chin as well. He's a white dragon in the same condition. He is super responsible. Nyan suggested. Librarian Ike shrugged. If you think that he would agree, we could use the extra hands. Our resources might not match what you're used to in your immortal world, but we've got good food and runic arrays designed to help every part of your growth. Jeff stared at him, wondering if the dragon was exaggerating. Then, a teenaged obsession demon came in with a potion in her hands and handed it to the librarian. Ah, thank you. Here, feed the little dragon this potion. It will stabilize his soul and aura so that he can get back to rapid growth without issues. It's from Miss Remy, so it should have the maximum effect, even though the ingredients were still mortal grade. We do the best with what we have, but we won't let you down, Ike explained. Nyan stuck her fingers into the corners of Jeff's mouth, forcing it open, then poured the bottle directly down his throat, making the little dragon splutter. Damn it, woman, I can drink it normally, even if it tastes awful. However, his energy level was steadily climbing, and his aura was intensifying at an impressive rate, growing towards what would be expected of a species, should he have never been injured in the first place. Well, at least one of his size. Dragon! Lotus' cheering voice rang through the room right before Jeff was plucked from Nyan's panicked hands, then spun in happy circles. Is she broken? Oh, never mind. It's a green dragon. Nyan laughed as she realized what was going on and waited for Lotus to calm down. Look, Fee, Carl brought me a new dragon. And then there are going to be so many more in the next few days. Wait, why is this one familiar? I know you. Jeff stared at her as Lotus focused intensely on his face. Right, you're one of the ones we rescued after that mission gone wrong. You're healing up really well. Jeff, right? You know, you can just check your interface to get my name. Not when you're so close to my nose. Nyan laughed and protectively took her dragon friend back. True, when you can't see the top of someone's head, you can't see what's over it. It makes fighting some bosses difficult because they start out too close for you to get a proper analysis of their abilities. Carl had never run into that issue before, but if you were encountering a boss in the wild, it made sense that they might sneak up on you and end up too close for you to properly identify at first, until you had survived the first round of attacks and retreated to regroup and fight it properly. However, that was a somewhat different situation than Lotus being unable to resist booping the snoot of any baby dragon she got her hands on. Well, we can go with Dana and my beast team. That should be a good start, but if a few of your other friends want to join on an outing, we might be able to get our hands on something good. The only question is if we've got some sort of lead on a hidden trial, or if we're going in blind. Nyan huffed in annoyance at some past memory. If we had heard the rumors, all the good stuff would already be gone. By the time that it is detected, scouted, and confirmed, someone has already been through it, and then we are all fighting for the scraps. Instead, I think that we should use our own skills to try to track magical anomalies. If we get lucky, we might get something really good. If not, we can at least collect some magical plants or harvest some wild beasts to turn in for credit with the clan. Then she looked around at the tiny world. Actually, I suspect you won't turn in the plants if you've got this space active. More species of magical plants is likely part of your plan for the place, though from what I can smell, there are already a lot of medicinal reagents in the area. Carl nodded. Indeed, we picked quite a few with the intentions of making mortal-grade potions and foods. Lotus was giving Carl the most pathetic pleading eyes that he had ever seen, and she was soon joined by Remy, who also wanted to maximize the number of new plants they could have in the space. That was 2 crop-related trades on the same team, and one of them was food. Hard to defeat that argument. Dana shook her head as she joined the conversation. If we're going to wander outside the clan compound, we should bring at least one experienced group leader. Someone with the skills and experience to keep a group on track and deal with others we might meet. Neither Carl nor I know anything about the other clans and sects and their relationships with the new home merchant clan, so we can't properly navigate interactions with them. No offense, but our pretty kitty here would most likely hit on them, and that's not helpful either. So, we need a leader. Nyan shrugged, but didn't deny the accusation. It wasn't her fault that the world was full of sexy single men. In fact, the more powerful and toned that they were, the more likely they were to be the sort of adorably asocial nerd that she liked to tease. It had to be something about their path to immortality that destroyed their social skills. All right, I will find Brother Chin and a group leader and bring them back to you as soon as I can. Then we can leave in the morning. Unless there are baby dragons by then, because I need to be here to see that. I love baby dragons. Carl would not deny that. She still had Jeff in her arms as she ranted about the need for more. And the reborn divine, lightning dragon, was simply going with it.